The Ellis County Commission meeting will come to order. Can we all please stand, say the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First of all, good morning, everybody. Bobby, if you can call the roll, please.
Commissioner Nathan Liker,
Here.
Chair Neil Younger,
Here.
Commissioner Michael Burgess.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Prior minutes, have you both got a chance to look at those?
Fine with me.
Okay. Okay, how about the consent agenda? Everybody, got your motion for that?
I make a motion we approve consent agenda items A through G.
Seconded.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any issues from anyone in the audience? Okay. And then the monthly financial report. Any questions,
I saw no questions.
concerns, issues?
Oh, yes, I did have a question that I relayed to Darren. Darren, did you relay that?
I haven't been available to speak with Vern yet, but I'll try to get you an answer this week.
Okay.
Okay, and then the monthly departmental report. Everybody get a chance to look at that? Okay. And then the aerial photography, Lisa Ree.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Lisa Ree, County Appraiser. Before you this morning, asking for your consideration to purchase aerial photography for the county. This is a project that was approved by the prior commission to use ARPA funds for. We've sent out for bids. I sent to 7 vendors. We received 2 proposals back. With the help of the GIS specialist, the city-county employee, we've gone through those bids. I didn't provide those to you because they were over 200 pages. I didn't think that was fitting for the agenda packet, but we've gone through those. For just a brief description of aerial photography, aerial imagery, we do have access to imagery, 2 different options. We do have the NG 911 imagery, which I believe is taken at a foot accuracy, and the FSA imagery, which is at a meter. They're sufficient, but I always use an example of our cartographer several years ago was working on a property to, there was a split on the property, and she was working on that and trying to decide what buildings went with which property. And as I was walking by her desk, she asked me if I knew what this building was. And I had just happened to have been at that property a few weeks earlier, and I said, that's not a building, that's a rock pile. We couldn't tell the difference between a roof line on that imagery and a rock pile. The imagery that we have requested, we did it 2 ways. We asked the vendors to provide us with costs if we would fly 6-inch accuracy throughout the county for the aerials, for the orthos, and then obliques for the whole county. The obliques, those are taken at an angle, so we can get 360 degree view of all buildings. And then we also asked, in case the city of Hayes would want to go in on the project, to do 3-inch ortho imagery of the city of Hayes, so we could get a cost difference. So with that, we are proposing to purchase the 3-inch ortho imagery in Hayes, 6-inch throughout all the rest of the county, and then obliques for the entire county. Sanborn and Eagle View were the two vendors that provided information to us. At the basic, Sanborn was a little cheaper, but then they had 2 one-time fees that we would have to pay, which made their overall proposal higher than Eagle View. So we're proposing that we go with the Eagle View contract, and the city of Hayes has agreed to contract for the $7,000 that would be attributed to the difference between flying 6-inch ortho imagery in Hayes versus the 3-inch. That's all the difference it was. Any questions?
Will this imagery be available to the public if they want to come in and see how what you're using works? Or will it be available on our website?
It'll be available eventually on the website, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Burgess?
Yeah, that would have been my only question. I just, on our GIS website, that it'll be loaded there at some point, I assume?
Yes.
Okay.
We rely on our GIS specialists for that. I mean, it's a product that not only our office would use, I believe it'll be used by several departments in the county, the police, the EMS, emergency management, public works.
I see it important, and especially for your staff, yourself. When people come in and they're going, hey, this is where it is, you get that 6-inch accuracy will help out a lot.
Yes.
Not only that, when I became commissioner, I introduced that to my place of business. Lots and lots of people are using it, so it is very important. When will this be done, I guess, as far as completion date?
The imagery needs to be they need to fly when the leaves are off the trees and there's no ground cover such as snow. So if they would start, they would start next month.
Okay,
And expectant delivery date is middle August
Okay.
of this year.
Is there a frequency? Do they come back at any point?
There is, they do have, Eagle View does have a disaster plan. If we would have a tornado, it has to be level 3, I believe, and I remember it's level 3 or level 4 or greater before they'll come back, and they will fly the area for free.
Okay.
They do, both of them, we did ask them about possible subscription options. If there would be discounts in the future, if we would fly within a certain time frame, fly again, would there be a discount? And both of them had discounts if you flew either 3, 4, or 5 years again.
What is the typical rate for having this flown? What are other counties or cities having flown?
Some of the larger ones do annually or every other year. But some of the larger counties are using the photography for their data collection.
Okay.
And last time that we have flown is 2007, which is a long time.
A lot of change.
a
Lot of change.
Will they come out with any other type of disaster other than a tornado, such as like a flood, a massive flood?
They had a whole list of
Okay.
disasters. Tornado was the one that, of course, spoke to me because that would be our most likely disaster. But
Well, I was thinking like our wildfire that happened, a little over a year ago,
yeah,
stuff like that.
they have specifications that would have to be met for them to come and fly free.
Okay.
Well, gentlemen, any other thing? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and accept the proposal to purchase the aerial photography.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Thank you. I believe Bobby had a
Yes, I got it signed.
PO. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Darren Myers with the emergency management on the extraction rescue tool purchase.
Good morning, Commissioners. Darren Myers, Fire Chief. This morning before you is a proposal to purchase extrication tools for the county fire department. This is a new set of tools that would replace the old, an old set. I believe they were either an 84 or an 86 model. So they've been around quite some time. They're an Amcus brand. And the purchase was to move away from a traditional extrication tool, which you have a separate pump, which is connected to hoses, which is connected to a tool. And then the tools either cut, there's cutters or spreaders, and there's rams. So there's different things you can do for vehicle extrication depending on the situation. The 2023 capital budget for the fire district has $41,000 set aside for this purchase. We did send out the bids. Lyle and I worked together on the specs, and we sent them out to 9 different vendors. 1 was a no response, 4 were no bids. We did get 4 bids back, and 2 bids were, the 2 low bids were put forth in your packet this morning for consideration. One thing that I spoke to each of you yesterday individually is the hard part of this discussion is the 2 bids. We usually try to go with the low bid. However, after doing more review, after specifications, learning about the equipments, the tools, speaking to multiple other fire departments around the state, doing tests locally, we've tested these pieces of equipment, and also they tested these very recently over in Ellis. Staff has actually recommended going with the Amcus brand of extrication tools. A big portion of that is to continue to try to work with the other fire departments in Ellis County to ensure that we have like tools in case of a disaster type situation, that we all are trained on the same tools, have the same knowledge base on them, and can swap out tools if necessary. The Hayes Fire Department is looking to purchase these. They have Amcus currently, and once they go to these hydraulic tools, are wanting to stay with Amcus. The Ellis Fire Department just demoed these about, I think it was within a month or 2 ago. The firefighters over there liked them so much they were going to try to do a fundraiser so they could actually buy a tool quicker than what they have budgeted. I've had 20-some years of experience with Amcus all the way back to when I started with 2000, sorry. Very good brand, and I believe that they'll be the better tool to push us through into the future for both battery power, cutting force, usability of the tool itself, and also more durable. There are a couple errors that I did make in the agenda item. Not all of their tools, not all of the Amcus tools are plastic or Lexan. One of them are, but that's still an important factor when you're cutting and tearing apart cars. I want durable equipment that's going to last many years. And then I put down that the Amcus had a 1/4 horsepower and it's supposed to be 3/4. But still, in comparison between the two drive sides of the pumps, one's a 3/4 horse and one's a 3 horse. So significantly higher horsepower rated on the Amcus tool, which in some aspects you could look as when you're cutting cars apart, the Amcus tools are going to be running at high force, high power, and full force the majority of the time. We do have Amcus now, and we bought those prior to myself coming to the county, and I've personally broke our tools twice because they could not cut metal that we needed to. One blew out a seal, and I broke the cutter on one of the tools as well.
You have Amcus or TNT?
We have TMT now.
You just wanted to make sure you corrected that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we have TNT with the county, and we're looking, like I say, with this bid to go with Amcus. I just feel it's important, you know, if you, in comparison, maybe something simpler or easier to look at or to consider if you go out and buy an EM or an AED. If Danita goes out and buy an AED and, you know, you need this many joules to shock a patient, you're going to say, well, we can cut that down by 75%. That we might be all right. That's not a good plan to take So this is just the better option. I know it does cost more. It jumps up from about $4,000 more in equipment. However, there are some added perks to their price. They're going to include a light package because these are DeWalt batteries, so there'll be an extendable scene light that will work with the batteries, and they're also putting in a set of tips, which the spreaders from T&T are also smaller in this bid. So our Amcus spreaders have a 4-inch wider spread, and they're going to add 4-inch tips to it, which will mean instead of the T&T bid having a 28-inch max lift or spread, the Amcus will give us 40 inches. So that's a considerable amount of difference if we ever need that. I can ramble on forever, but I will stand or sit for any questions.
Darren, you said you've tested multiple products. You currently have the TMT products or line of tools.
Correct. We've done both independent and combined assessments with the Hayes Fire Department. They've done their ratings on 4 different tools that they wanted to test. Amcus was their choice. We've tested Hearst, Helmatro, Genesis, and Amcus over in Ellis, and then we've seen the TNT tools when they come out and service ours. And so, yeah, we've had several trial runs with all of these.
Michael?
We have an automatic response, don't we, between city and county on emergencies, don't we?
So the automatic aid program between the county fire department and the city of Hayes, so we actually have them with automatic aid programs with Ellis, Victoria, and Chinchin as well, but that deals directly with structure fires.
Okay. So there are opportunities where having similar tools between departments can, in an emergency, can certainly.
Correct,
Rise.
exactly. Actually, just on an accidental page last week, I believe it was, 41st and the bypass, the city of Hayes was actually accidentally paged to go out to that location. And, you know, we could have, either or, we were both out there, but we would have had the same tools out there if that would have been the case.
Okay. And then just looking at the bids, the budget was 41,000, so both bids are under. So I guess from my standpoint, I'm not overly concerned that one's a little higher than the other, as long as it fits, you know, what our county employees need and want. And it's under budget, so it's not like one bid's over budget and we're asking for that, so it's under budget. So additionally to, what do we do, and I asked you yesterday, so whatever one we approve, the 7,000 or 8,000 that we're under budget, how do we allocate that savings?
So basically, I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that we have no other capital expenditures this year, because it's the only one that I believe we have budgeted for this year. So if we have let's just say a $100,000 beginning cash balance in the fire equipment machinery fund, which is our special equipment fund. If we start off the balance with 100,000 and we had budgeted 41,000, that means projected with the budget we'd have 59,000 left in that account. However, if we start with 100,000, we only spend 33. That just means we have 67,000 of a balance at the end of the year. So the money stays in the capital equipment reserve fund for future purchases, and we do have very significant or very important purchases coming up. The engines over in Ellis and Victoria are the next engines to be replaced, and we just spent $320,000 on the one in Ellis, so that fund won't build a balance again for a few good years, because we're replacing the most expensive trucks in our fleet in the
What
next
fund
4
number
years.
is equipment reserve fund?
What's that?
You know, what fund number equipment
That's
reserve fund?
fund number 29.
Okay.
I just wrote it down. I forgot. It's a
Okay.
special fire machinery fund is the title of it. Should be on the second to last page of your capital budget.
That's
I will also state the plan here too is this is going to also allow increased service for rescue response in the county. We're not going to trade in or take out of service the old tools. We're going to keep them in service. And we're actually going to take them out to the Shinchin Fire Station Company 8, and we will place them on the truck out there. And then we'll have rescue response in the southern part of the county for the Company 8 firefighters to respond to injury accidents out there.
Is there any special training that needs to go along with these tools?
Yep, as part of the package, sorry, I did not mention that, Wise Fire, which is the bid, if so chosen with the AMCUS tools, they will come out and do rescue training. We do annual training, but they will come out and do more specific training on the tools themselves.
What about with the TNT tools that we moved to Shenzhen? Will there be training that goes along with them?
Correct, we train with them, I wouldn't say annually, but whenever they ask, we take cars out there, they come into our training as well, not
Okay.
our, but they come into other training whenever they want to have something or need to swap out, or, but they are trained with the tools, but when we get them out there, yes, we will, I don't know if we'll deliver a car all the way out to Shenzhen, but we may do something or another out here at the training facility to make sure that they're fully aware of them before we just leave them at the station.
Got it. What type of working relationship do we have with both of these companies?
So the TNT tool is through Rescue Specialist. The only business we do with them is to service our current tools that we have now.
Okay.
Wise Fire is the other bid for the AMCUS. Usually send them bid requests quite frequently, and we purchase a lot of personal protective equipment from them. I believe their helmets are usually the cheapest. I don't remember all the equipment, but we have a lot more dealings with the AMCUS brand, Wise Fire, out of Salina than we do with Rescue Specialist.
Okay. Yeah.
Anything else? Just listening to your expertise on this, Darren, sounds like you get what we pay for. I see two things. I've talked to a lot of the volunteer firefighters. They were complaining about them also, so that is legit for everybody that it could not cut through a piece of metal that they needed to. As we all know, lives are very, very valuable. So minutes and seconds count instead of stringing out a power pack, having a trip hazard. I definitely support this because, like I say, time is life, as our medical field is out in the audience. She knows that. We all know that. So the sooner that we can get everything as we needed to rescue these people that are trapped. So do I hear a motion?
I'll
Okay.
move to approve PO 7708 for the purchase of extrication tools for the Ellis County Fire Department.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passed. Okay, administrative office to close.
Did we need to specify, because under the motion it had the PO, I guess. Did we need to specify a vendor on that?
Now,
Okay.
the PO will be noted in the minutes.
Okay.
That's why the suggested motion language is up at the top for you, so that way you can identify the PO, which then is held to be signed by the commission chair, and then Bobby notates it in our minutes, and it's
Okay.
in our accounting system.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, Neil. Go ahead.
That's all right. That's good. Good question. Darren, with the administrative office being closed you can,
I know two of the commissioners are new to this project a little bit. We're on the tail end, I hope, of the HVAC remodel here at the building. We started this early this year, and staff has been very kind and not been too, they don't complain about me too much about the building being too hot sometimes, or not having air conditioning. It has been quite the process. There's a lot of equipment to be replaced. But as the commission has maybe seen in the last month, we did receive the chiller that's outside on the pad. And part of the process when we designed the system was that, the chiller was going to be part of the system. And then for what the new commissioners, after the HVAC project was completed or started, we then went back and the commission said, let's go ahead and tie in an emergency generation for continuity operations for the county. So with that, we sized from the direction of the commission, we sized the new generator to be able to handle the load of the entire building to include the chiller. So since the generator at the time when we ordered it, and I don't remember what month it was about a 56 to 58 week lead time. So what they have to do now is tie in the chiller so that way they can do final testing and balance of the HVAC system in this building. And to do that, they have to tie into the transformer, kill the power here at the administrative building, and they're wanting to do that during the week, during the daytime hours, so that way if something was going on, they would have availability to more staff, both with Midwest Energy, with RDH, with Glassman, and their engineer for the building locally, or for the building here. So they, and with that, I've contacted Adams Brown because they're our tenants on the second floor. They wanted to wait until after January so that way they can get all their W-2s, 1099s, and all their tax and payroll stuff done for their client. But they don't want to wait too long because the next step for them immediately is tax season. In the county itself, we don't want to wait too long because we want the chiller online before it starts getting warm and be able to turn on the air conditioning when needed. So we came up with the date of February 3rd to close down the offices, which would be a Friday afternoon. Wouldn't impact any of the other county businesses, health, EMS, sheriff, environmental. Everybody else would be able to stay open as normal. And actually, most of those departments close down Friday in the afternoon because their afternoon, or they have off for their office hours. So it would just be the administrative staff here at the admin building would be released to go home on Friday at noon. We would close down the building. IT would stay in place. They're going to do some data recovery testing to make sure that they, not data recovery, data backup testing to ensure that once the power goes off here at this building, they can fire up and transfer everything to their network at our backup site over on 22nd Street and make sure everything runs and tests out fine. So for closing of the offices, not in an emergency situation, it takes commission action and approval for us to close the building. So that's what we're asking permission to do on Friday, the 3rd of February.
Will the one day, the one afternoon closure be enough to get it online?
In talking to Greg, our staff, and with Logan, they're hoping that, Logan with Glassman, they're hoping that they can be done in 2 hours, but they're gonna save 4, but just because that way we just don't have people sitting here waiting, and then something takes a little bit longer, and they don't have to rush, they can do it all right and tie everything in. And, but they're hoping to be done in less than 2, but they asked for 4.
Okay.
Mr. Burgess?
I don't really have any questions or concerns. I think it's appropriate, so.
How many people does that affect in this building? How many?
9, 6. Well, I'm not sure how many Adams Brown have up there, but there's probably dozens, 2 dozen maybe, 3. And we'll probably have about 20 employees here between the 4 offices upstairs and HR.
All right.
I guess it's thinking about that employee. Is it still a paid day for the employees then?
Yes, sir.
So they
Yeah,
just can't be in
we
the
can't-
office?
Can't tell them that they have the day off and have them take PTO, and that's the same thing for our inclement weather policy. If tomorrow we actually do get the snow like they're saying to, and we have to close offices or delay opening, whatever we do close, they're paid as if, keep them whole.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, gentlemen, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the closure of the administration building on February 3rd at 12 p.m.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Okay. Okay, the admin fence, Darren, you can elaborate on that a little bit?
So I will have to apologize a little bit. I'm going to refer up here to the screen on this. So this is, for most people, nobody's going to have a clue what it is. Essentially, though, the plan has changed a little bit since we decided to put a new generator in instead of having emergency generator access. So if you can see my cursor, this little pad here, that's where the chiller's at. And this is the transformer. And then the way it was originally designed was we had a portable generator that we would have to rent, and it would park there, and there is a transformer switch out there that it would tie into. That transformer switch, the only thing it would power in this whole entire building was the network servers for IT. So, never fully understood why it was done that way, but, I mean, obviously the network is important, but if we don't have power to the entire building, nobody can work anyway. So, what has changed is the generator pad is now over here, and it's all straight. So you're gonna have a 90-degree fence that comes over, up, over, and then back like that. And then our dumpster would sit in this open area. So the change order was for a larger size fence, because the area is larger than we had originally planned by adding quite a bit more room for the generator to be parked in there, or placed. And then when we originally did the bids, we bid out for a chain link fence, which I probably should have known a little bit better. The front entrance of our facility, a chain link fence just would have looked not necessarily atrocious, but it just wouldn't look good. It wouldn't have been pleasant to the eye, I guess. Since then, and speaking with the prior commission, a little bit, we asked them to go back and rebid it with the new size and to put a wood fence in. And there were several other options that we visited with Glassman Corporation in regards to. And if you go down 8th Street towards Fort Hayes, the new ECATS building, they have their big HVAC enclosures, and there's big metal panels. They're louvered metal fences. I'll never put a fence up like that in my life, but the bid for this project was over about $80,000. It was upper $70,000, and I knew that the commission wouldn't be interested in doing anything like that at all, so that's why we kind of fell back to the fence, a wood picket fence. And I know in speaking with Neil yesterday, he had some other concerns and some other ideas that maybe the wood fence, I guess I can just let you speak to that point of what your options may be.
Yeah, as everybody knows, the wood fence it's going to discolor. There's a lot of maintenance to it. Only thing is, like Darren and I had spoke with the other panels, it's going to probably double and then a half to do. And I did, I'll share these with the commissioners that I had pictures from the wooden one. The one that I was kind of interested in is the one up at St. Mary's. Pretty attractive fence there for coming walking in our building. But then again, here it is, there's a big cost associated with it. So I don't know if the maintenance and the longevity of the other fence would outweigh each other. And then there was also talk that maybe we hang off on it and do possibly the admin and then the law enforcement at the same time, possibly, just to kind of hold off. It's just the appearance out there when you come walking in is what I'm concerned of, and the future of it for lasting. I'd say the staining of it, that's going to make, Greg more maintenance, more time. That's just my thought on it. So,
I guess the project that Neil's referring to is, we also have a project, parts are on order to replace the HVAC system for the Hayes Police Department and Sheriff's Office on the main floor, and then as well as the basement. So there'll be a new chiller and stuff that's installed over there at that building. It's a lot smaller than this one, but our insurance company, K-Camp, they do assessments of our properties each year, and they give us suggested things to help save and reduce costs and property loss, et cetera. But the rock garden, which is basically the area between the east wall of the Hayes Police Department and the west wall of the library, there's a rock garden in there. And they've suggested for years to cordon that off with a fence. And when we bid out the law enforcement project over there, we had an alternate in there for the fence, but we ended up not selecting it because we thought we could just do it independently with talking to fencing contractors and see if we could do something there. So The option here would be we could not do anything and leave everything exposed and bid out everything for this and the law enforcement area, Rock Garden, together as basically two locations, but as one project to select a vendor for.
Couple of questions on it. Are there any regulations or guidelines that we have to follow within the city of Hayes to put a fence up around that?
Logan didn't say anything, but this is all under permitted projects, so I don't know if there would be or not. We double check though.
I didn't know if there'd be a certain height requirement or something like that.
They
that
do
we'd
have a
to
height requirement, but I think it's 6 feet normal and 8 you get special permission for, but this is only a 6-foot fence, just like a typical height of any personal property size fence. It wouldn't cover the whole height of the chiller. That chiller is probably about 8 foot tall, but I just bid a 6-foot fence on it.
Okay. And I mean, it's probably very, very minimal if we were to do, say, maybe the entranceway as an upgraded fence, and then what we don't see as not a downgraded, but a lesser fence on the backside.
It's an option. Whatever the commission would like us to move forward with, we can put out there for bid.
Fencing project at the police station again. What, I guess budget-wise, is that budgeted project for this year that we have in facilities, or is that?
That's a non-budgeted item because we originally had a plan to use ARPA funds for.
Okay.
But then with talking with the commission last year, the commission didn't include that as part of that ARPA project. So we could either use it out of Fund 6 for capital improvements, or we could use ARPA funding still for it. That project was quite a bit under budget than we anticipated. So there is room in the ARPA fund to pay for both if we really needed to. Or I guess if the commission wanted to. And that would be determined at a later time if we did proceed.
I mean, I see now's the time to go ahead and finish up a project.
Like I say, it's all associated with a cost, but I guess we got one chance to do it and do it right the first time. My thought, but we want to just wait and do the others. That's kind of what I'm looking at, but I'm also up for suggestions or ideas, what we would like to do. It will be an eyesore if we don't do it right away, but down the road, like I say, let's do it right.
Yeah.
Like I say, we got an attractive building.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's going to be more, but
Well, I would make, or let me ask, have there been a proposal or any bids done for the law enforcement center?
When we bid the HVAC project, Glassman, it was, well, anybody that wanted to bid the project could bid. And I would have to pull up the proposal from Glassman, but if I'm remembering right, that project with their costs and everything for a subcontract to do the work, it's 36 or 38,000 sounds appropriate. And that was for not with what Commissioner Younger shared with you, that was more along a metal picket style fence, like a wrought iron type fence, to match the wrought iron type fence that goes around the basement enclosure already. So that way it all kind of matched that historical piece of the area.
Okay.
But that can be open for discussion too, since it has to be bid, whatever the commission, especially since you're a new commission, you tell us what you'd like to see and that's what we'll bid.
Is that project ready at this time?
No, the chiller won't be delivered for that. I believe that was a 6-month lead time and that was probably approved 2 months ago now,
Okay.
a month or two. So we're still probably 4 months before that chiller would be delivered.
Okay. I was just curious for pricing of things, if we price a big job out or if we leave that completely separate, if that's dependent.
So the benefit of going separate out of the contract with what we have at Glassman is we already have a certain amount allotted in the proposal for Glassman. Whatever that dollar is, I'll just say X amount. However, if we pull this project out, that X amount would just be reduced from the contract and it wouldn't be paid. So the proposal you see now is $10,000, but there may be, I'm just gonna throw a number out, there may be already another $10,000 that they have in their contract for this. So when we rebid it, it may look visibly like it's more expensive, it may get a $20,000 bid, but remember, we had $10,000 already set aside, here's the extra $10,000.
Okay.
So it should be roughly the same. Those are just numbers. But also with Glassman doing the work and then subbing it out, the subcontractor is gonna have his price, but then the general contractor is gonna have their overage costs. So 10 to 20% usually. So if it's a $20,000 project at 10%, Glassman would be upcharging another $2,000 for their, so there could be some savings there to do it in the future as well.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah, I guess that's where I'm leaning. I think we just hold off, do a little bit larger project with 2 fencing projects, give us some time to think about what our fencing options are that we want. Get a schematic that actually matches what we're supposed to be looking at instead of just trying to visualize in our head that this needs to be 90 degrees that way. So I guess that's where I'm leaning, is just let's hold off a little bit and do it right when we actually do it instead of doing one project and then, maybe we could have done it better and then we'll learn from that and do the police station right that time, but we can do both right at the same time. It's I guess that's where I'm at.
Will there need to be temporary fencing if we hold this project off, established?
Not after the equipment is in. They just haven't boarded off yet because they didn't know. I mean, if they're gonna have to start cutting concrete out for footings and everything for the fence, they just left it all in place. I might still visit with Greg because if you look out here on the sidewalk between the chiller and the building, there's the gas line, which is blocked off, but then we have all the conduit coming up. We might wanna put something temporary there just to protect.
Right.
That's kind of the whole thought of K-Camp wanting to put that on there, so that way we're protecting our equipment and as well as any public from getting in or on the equipment and damaging the equipment or hurting themselves. And I can also visit with Glassman that if the commission wishes to decide to pull this fencing from their project, we can probably just go out and start getting options and bring them back to the commission. And I wouldn't see why we couldn't start on the fencing right away. Bring back some options for the commission for you to consider, find a funding source for you. The commission would approve a design for the fence, and then we could start going out for bid sooner than later. Because they're gonna have to set the new chiller off onto the new chiller pad with a generator, or with a crane anyway, so they can just lift it up over the new fence at the new building or this building. And the fences should be able to be up and wouldn't have any impact on that.
Okay.
Was there also a gate in there, Darren, somewhere?
There were 2 gates. There's going to be one that has access directly for the generator, so the electricians can get in and service the generator, and then one for the a service entry place for the access panel for the chiller itself.
And then another question on the placement of the dumpster in there. I don't see anything as far as pillars there to, is that also included in that?
I had notated on myself that we need to have bollards in there and
Okay.
parking bumpers, so that way when the dumpster is released from the trash truck, it doesn't roll back in and damage a brand-new fence.
And then just for the public, if they would like to go out and look, like I say, I like the one at St. Mary's, but that's just my choice to go
Holy
look,
Family.
or Holy Family, I'm sorry, but just to go look at that and maybe get some feedback on it from the public.
So we're gonna table that until the next meeting.
Mhm.
I will let Glassman know that we'll just stop that as part of their bid, and we'll proceed elsewhere.
At least get us some feedback on it, I believe.
Yeah.
We'll get some fencing options, we'll have an updated schematic design. I'll
Right.
get some pictures for you and everything, and if the commission wants to meet with Greg or I, we can also show you one-on-one the locations as well.
Okay.
Another thing I was gonna ask Darren, on getting back on the tool purchase. If you guys do a demo on that, is there a way that you could video that and then we would have it on here to show the public also what we have? Because a lot of them are not aware of the tools and stuff that we have that our volunteer firefighters do and they're up against.
When we take delivery of the tools, I believe they were 40 to 65 days out, so it'll be springtime.
Okay.
I'll take some videos and bring them to a commission meeting so you can see the tool themselves and what they do.
Okay. Okay, moving on, county administrator report, Darren.
I think I've spoken enough, so I'll just leave it at that. It was a good football game last night, so today's a good day.
First you were whining and it happened, so way to go.
Well, they hadn't won a football road playoff game in 30 years to date today, and that was when the term "How about them Cowboys" was coined with that win against the 49ers. So we'll see how it goes next week.
And what was that other statement? Something like who was in there? The Chiefs are in? Okay. Okay, Mr. Liker, any commission reports?
I'll just state last week attended new commissioner training with myself, Darren, and Mr. Burgess up in Topeka.
Okay. Mr. Burgess?
Yeah, same. I attended that 2-day conference, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was just for new commissioners throughout the state. There's 47 new commissioners, 12 from my account from the 18 northwest counties were there. So a good opportunity to kind of get to know a few more commissioners in the area. So I enjoyed that. I plan on going next week to the Kansas Public, I don't know what that one is.
Kansas Legislative Policy Group.
Policy group. I'll be there for one day. Then I attended Ellis County's city council last evening.
As Mr. Burgess was there too at the appreciation. Thank you, Sarah. We were at the Shank Building, and then last night I finally, after 2 years, got to go to the Victoria city meeting because theirs was the same as ours, so they appreciated it. And then I did go to Shenshin's meeting, so that's all I have. And then
Next, I move the Board of County Commissioners recess to executive session for 20 minutes pursuant to attorney-client privilege exception. Subject to be discussed as potential litigation. We'll have Bill Jeter, Darren Myers, and Brendan McKay attend with us. So, open session to resume at 9:35.
okay. There you go, see? Okay. Nothing was decided at this time, so we're gonna do the second.
Okay. I move the Board of County Commissioners recess to executive session for 20 minutes pursuant to the preliminary discussion of acquisition of real estate exception. Subject to be discussed is right-of-way acquisition. Those included would be Bill Jeter, Darren Myers, and Brennan McKay.
Okay, I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Okay, somewhat of a agreement was reached, so that'll be further tabled.
Okay.
Anything else? That's good. I move the Board of County Commissioners recess to executive session for 10 minutes under the following exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter exception. The subject to be discussed during the executive session is personnel issue. Those in attendance in addition to the Board of County Commissioners are Bill Jeter, Darren Myers, Brandon McKay.
Okay, I'll second that.
That will go till 10:14.
Okay, give us some travel time.
You got it. I don't get in trouble, you guys do. You have to call the meeting. You have to call the meeting.
Meeting is adjourned at 10:25.